I'm Long Mayor Andy Mack, and it's my pleasure to be hosting our community-wide book club focusing on Jon Gordon's book, The Energy Bus. This week, we have the incredible honor of having the author of the book, Jon Gordon, with us to discuss with us, to talk with us, to just see what's going on and get insight. And Jon, we're so thankful that you're here tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a real honor to be with you guys.
Well, you know, we've been reading this book, and it's really changed the way we do business here in Longview. I can tell you, it's made a huge difference in attitude, in the way we see things, and the way we approach things. And I want to introduce you to Miss Sarah Sheppard. Miss Sheppard, besides being a teacher at my kids' school when they were young, she is now the principal of Ware Elementary. And it's one of the great public schools here in Longview. And Sarah has really embraced this idea of the energy bus. She has taken this energy bus concept far beyond where we ever thought. And way before we ever started with the book club. We didn't know that she'd even done this, and we found out about it, so I had to include her in this book club tonight so that she could talk to us and tell us what she's doing in the school so we can kind of get an idea of what's going on. Awesome. Sarah, tell us what's happening.
Hello. Well, for us at Ware Elementary, I had an opportunity to read the book towards the end of the last school year, and was looking for something for my faculty to read during the summer, but also to energize us a little bit and to really probably focus on the positive. Our campus is one in the state of Texas that's under the improvement required, so therefore I wanted something that was going to help us keep us focused and really truly put students first and do it in a way that was positive and to keep us just really positive, I guess, and energized. Because sometimes, you know, when you're in our job is in education, it can be, you know, every once in a while we kind of get a little down or think, you know, what else can we do to make a difference in students' lives? And so had an opportunity to read it, purchased it for my staff and shared with them that this was their summer reading book. And it's a quick read. It was simple and it just had some great points. And when I first read it, not only was I looking for one for my campus, but also it kind of touched me personally. There were some things that I noticed that I needed to do to take care of energizing my life personally. And I think that's what I wanted for my staff, not only for the students, for our faculty, for our campus, but also for them to make sure that they're taking care of themselves and their families. And so we had that opportunity. I did a little bit of research and found out there was the energy bus for kids. And so purchased that. And so we really had a great time in August coming back and being able to share the book and look at the, you know, the different rules there, and each one adopted one. I mean, we really spent some time, and I think it really made a difference in my staff as well as for our campus.
Look at the difference in our books. This is Miss Sheppard's book. This is my book, okay? There's no tabs. I don't write in my books. I think it's taboo. And she has writing on every page, underlined. This is what my book should look like, but it's not. I'm a reader. I can't stand when there's lines in my book. So mine is pristine, just so you know.
But yeah, we were able to do that, and it's been awesome. It really has. We had an opportunity to actually get on a bus and go through our neighborhood that are zoned for our area, for our teachers, and to see where our students are coming from and how we needed to impact their lives. And I do believe we have been able to do that through your book and just what we was able to take from it, and really know that it's a mindset that we have to approach each day, and we need to be, you know, full of energy to be able to do that. So it's awesome.
I love hearing that. That's like the best feeling in the world to hear a story like that. I love that.
It's the greatest compliment there is, isn't it?
It really, well, it's the greatest reward there is.
Yes.
Because when you write a book like that, you never know who you're going to impact or how. And then to have it impact teachers and then students, and to realize that it's making a difference in that way, it's the best feeling in the world.
Jon, every Monday night we do our Facebook group with our book club where we have live interaction with people on Facebook. They send questions in, we answer them. So there'll be people sending questions in during the interview, and we'll answer a few of them in a minute. But we want to ask you a few questions if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. What inspired you to write The Energy Bus?
Well, you know, it's interesting. George, the main character, was based on me. I was dealing with a lot of struggles and adversity and challenges in my own life. People are surprised, right, to write a book like that, but really, he was really easy to write about. My daughter just wrote her college essay, and she said, when I was young, my mom struggled with her health and my dad struggled with himself. She said,
wow.
yeah, and she said, but I watched how he became a more positive person and really worked at it, and then started writing these books, and then started to speak, and then started to inspire others. And she said, well, I saw how he changed, and I know that people can change, so I believe the world can change. So that was her college essay, and that really was sort of my story. So I wanted to write about a guy who was miserable and negative, and then changes, and then how he changes. And so Joy represented that leader, that person who could help someone change and giving them advice. And so it was really this journey of going from negative to positive to ultimately define yourself and your team's success. I wrote the book in 3.5 weeks.
No kidding.
Of divine inspiration. I mean, really, God deserves all the credit for it. I mean, I was walking one day, the idea just came to me, and I literally just started writing it. I didn't have all the 10 rules. I had a few, but the rules led to more rules, and eventually I had this book that, again, 3.5 weeks, and I knew I had something special. It was rejected by 30 publishers at first, though.
Wow.
And everyone said no. And finally, John Wiley and Son agreed to take it on. And so now it was coming out. I asked a friend what I should do. He said, pray. But I prayed for it to be a bestseller, and it came out. It was a bestseller in Korea.
Doesn't matter.
I learned you have to be specific with your prayers. And so then no bookstore would carry it in the United States. I went on a 28-city tour, sharing the message in the book, went through Texas, a lot of areas of Texas. And that started the ball rolling. But this was nine years ago.
Wow, it took me 3.5 weeks to read the book. I'm a very slow reader, but no, it's a quick read, and I really enjoyed that book very much.
Thank you.
And I think one of the things that really impacted me, and that you mentioned, and how it affected your life, is about being the driver. Then you have to drive your bus. So I guess, have you seen it really affect your life by writing it in 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks?
Right, 3.5 weeks. Well, with teams in schools like yours, I realized that you can give a team a bus, but unless you have a driver driving it, the bus doesn't move.
Right.
And so leadership is what really drives the bus forward, and becoming that leader of your family, that leader of your school, that leader of your team. Well, you're right. You first have to lead yourselves.
Right.
And I've learned to become the driver of my own bus. Every book I've written has been a book that I actually have had to learn to walk the walk, and then in order to be able to talk the talk. And so I think writing this book has made me a better person, made me a better leader, but it also has made me realize that all the people that are using it, it's not me that's creating the success, it's them. They're choosing to be a positive leader, and they're the ones making a difference. And that's the greatest thing. When I see people use it, I always realize the genius is you. It's in the audience, it's never me. Right. It's what you do with it that blows me away.
You know, I was going to ask you a question. What would your advice be to someone like me, an elected official, who's trying to move an entire city on a positive bus, all while trying to ignore those energy vampires? Which I love that term, by the way. I use it all the time. I love energy vampires. I mean, I don't love them, but I love the term. Yeah.
Well, I think that's great. I mean, anytime you're rallying people towards the future, as a leader like you are, you know you're always going to have naysayers. You'll have the energy vampires who don't believe in what you believe, who don't see what you see, who don't share your optimism. And I think there's a great line in the book that says, I will not let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet.
Yes.
As Gandhi said. And we just have to post that sign that says no energy vampires allowed, that our positive energy must be greater than their negativity. Our certainty must be greater than their doubt. And so we just keep moving forward. We keep asking people to get on. More and more will get on. Some won't, but we just keep moving forward. And then eventually you have this standing room only bus. As I said, the energy bus was rejected. I had so many negative reviews early on with the book. Now there's just so many positive. Yeah. It's amazing. I had to weather the storm of negativity as I wrote about this book about weathering the storm of negativity. But then on the other side, you see now how positivity changes people. It changes lives. It changes schools. It changes businesses. It really changes everything in a positive way. And we have all this research now that shows that this is real stuff. This is not Pollyanna positive. I think that's the thing. People say, oh, well, that's just Pollyanna. No, anyone who's ever accomplished anything great in this country has done so with this belief and optimism towards a brighter and better future. And those negative people, they can just go bother someone else.
Well, I can tell you, it's changed me in the way I perceive myself and the way I interact with others. It's made a huge difference in my life, and I thoroughly appreciate that. I really do. And my wife read the book, and she said it's the best book she's ever read. And I thought, these are the kind of positives that make it so important that we share this with other people. Jon, since I read the book and since you're the author, I've been following you on Facebook. I guess they call that creeping. I don't know what they call it, but what I find is that you have so many amazing, positive, relevant quotes that seem so applicable to everyday life. What do you do to stay so inspired and so positive? Every day I see something on your Facebook that comes up and I go, wow, I can use that. That's me.
Yeah, they just keep coming to me. I think if you're open and you're willing, I just know it's my calling to encourage others. So it's my calling to be a light, to be a source of encouragement. And it's funny because as someone who might, like me, go towards the negative naturally, I think doing this is always making me more positive as I'm always encouraging others. So I think as I'm encouraging others, helping others feel better, I'm feeling better myself.
Well, it definitely works, because I can tell you, it's affecting people, and I see it, and I'm not a Facebook person, but these things pop up, and I go, wow, that quote is awesome. I use them in a lot of the talks that I do now, because those quotes are so, and I give you credit, don't worry, I haven't taken any of them for myself yet. That may change soon, but it really is an easy way to bring people into the same energy level that you have, and it's positive, because I tell people all the time, I've never seen a negative attitude to bring about a positive result. You have to be positive in order to bring out positive results. So it's really helped me to do that. We have some questions coming in from our Facebook. Let me ask you one real quick. There are a number of teachers here with us tonight. What advice would you have for them on how to use this book in the setting that they face every day?
In the classroom?
Yes, sir.
Well, we have a lot of schools throughout Texas and the country that are actually even calling themselves energy bus schools. And you know as well as I do what you could do in the schools in terms of having all the staff read the book, doing a book study with the staff, going over the 10 rules, talking about ways that you're going to be more positive that year, more positive as a staff, how you're going to overcome the negativity and the challenges that you're facing. Coming up with a shared vision and focus and purpose is so important. Like, why do we do what we do? We don't get burned out because of what we do. We get burned out, we forget why we do it. So let's remember our why as a staff. And how can we come together and be a stronger, more positive team? Because a connected team in a school is so important to work together. You win inside, and then you have to, in order to win outside in the world. So I believe the school has to be a really strong, connected place to better serve our students. Just like you're doing this, right? You're connecting with your city to now better serve your city. It's awesome that you're doing this. So I think you can do that. And then the Energy Bus for Kids for elementary school is really a great kind of curriculum. We have a lot of free resources on that website for Energy Bus for Kids.
And we're using them.
Yeah, and you can use all those for the classrooms of elementary schools.
All right. And it's been great because throughout the year, we keep going back to it. Just this past Wednesday, we were looking at the steps of really working on this, and it talks about navigating adversity and potholes and some challenges, and we had to think about that because we did a simulation getting prepared for state testing and really had to stop and think, what are our challenges, what are some setbacks that we've experienced thus far, and how are we going to move forward and still be positive? And it's amazing because it lets us stop and think and kind of redirect us and refocus where, in the direction that we need to go that's going to help our students be successful.
Yeah, I have found that just a school or a business or a city that says, you know what, we're not going to allow negativity to sabotage us or the work we're here to do.
Right.
We're just going to keep moving forward. And that one decision to say we're going to just stay positive through our challenges changes everything, because so often people get negative, they give up, they don't continue to move forward, they don't accomplish what they can accomplish. So it's really that one decision that really is, I have found, is so simple that that's what changes everything.
Okay, here's a good question. Who is your favorite author?
Well, I don't have like one favorite, but I love Max Lucado. Max Lucado's based out of San Antonio. I also love Ken Blanchard, who's the author of The 1 Minute Manager. And Ken was one of my mentors and really was someone who inspired me to even be a writer in the first place. So I'd say Ken Blanchard, Max Lucado. There's a great book by Mark Batterson called The Circle Maker. Really love that book.
Isn't that an awesome book? We read that in our Sunday school class. It was just fantastic. Did a whole study on that whole book. It was fantastic.
Yeah, love that book.
So that kind of answers.
Donald Miller. Donald Miller wrote A Million Miles in 1,000 Years. Love that. Blue Like Jazz, great author.
So that answers the next question. What do you read? You just answered that question, so that's good.
Yeah, I read all the different. I'm just reading this book right now called The Obstacle Is the Way by Ryan Holiday. It's supposed to be a really good book, and just getting started on this one.
Here's another one. Which rules do you feel are the most important? I mean, all 10 of them are important, obviously.
Yeah, that's like saying which one of my kids do I love more. I do have a favorite, by the way.
I understand. That's good.
I don't really. But we love them differently. But I think every rule starts with, being the driver of your bus. If you don't decide to be the driver and you don't realize that you have to take responsibility for your ride, you can never really create a meaningful journey. So it all starts with that. But loving your passengers has to be up there because it ultimately comes down to loving others.
I love it. Okay. Let's see. We've held you long enough, Jon. Listen, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. You have been such a great sport to join us and to enhance what we're trying to do in this book club. We really appreciate that. I want to thank you, Ms. Sheppard, for being here with us and all that you're doing through the schools. And I just hope that we'll have a chance to meet again, and hope you'll come and visit with us when you're in Texas, and we'll hop in the energy bus together. How's that?
That sounds great. Let's do this again, because I was so honored to hear that a mayor and the city was actually doing the energy bus. It was, a great joy to see that. So I'm on the ride, I'm on your bus, so I'm looking forward to it.
I appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us, Jon. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much.